Okay, so hopefully this is gonna actually record. So, I'll just start. I guess we can just start by going through rollout and shit and just kind of default of how to play this map. So, I personally don't really like. We'll go over bets first. I don't like rolling out bets. Um, the big reason is just because of I don't think you really see a lot here, especially on like the kind of the new meta that at least in like invite and advanced. What people do is they kind of just everyone just runs into bathhouse and everyone fights for it. So it's usually like a 5v5 in bathhouse, and then like you have medic scout demo that's kind of playing like around here, spamming each other and taking like a 3v3, and then spy kind of does whatever. So I feel like if you come here, you're kind of isolating yourself to only being able to look at scout demo. Obviously if they start, like if you see that teams aren't playing this exact way that I'm talking about, then you kind of have to like adapt and kind of just become more versatile in how you're going to play this map, right? So if they start sending a lot more people to point straight away rather than fighting over bathhouse, coming bats is fine. But I think as a general rollout, your best bet's gonna be coming up here and coming up to runes, and then kind of having to either deal with this SVS a little bit if the guy mirrors you, or you can kind of like isolate one angle that he's gonna be playing, right? So if I see that sniper's gonna be playing right, or what I'll do a lot of times too is I'll wait for somebody to make a call, like snipers left or snipers on the right, and then I'll isolate that angle, and then I just try and kill everyone else. As sniper, you don't always have to just mongolade for the, don't be an SVS bot. So, I mean, if you kill, like, your key classes here are gonna be like Pyro, if they're gonna send a lot into bathhouse, or pool, or whatever you call this. So if you can kill like Pyro or you can kill Soldier, those are like two big classes. Obviously Heavy. I don't know if Heavy will commit through though. But those are like your top three classes outside of like trying to deal with Sniper. Pyro because he's gonna like deny a lot of your Soldier spam. Heavy because you're like one of the only two classes that can instantly deal with 450 and overheal. But Heavy should be coming into pool because they'll be getting whipped out here. If they go point, it's not very good, so that's kind of rollout. You're gonna kind of be coming here, in my opinion, because this is where you're gonna be able to see people. And if you don't see anyone fighting for pool, then it's just like a quick rotation. Also, use the fence to help you see, like, just don't wide swing this and then you die to this guy. Like, you should be able to see him through, and then make your peak based off of that. And then yeah, like I said, if you start seeing like if you're getting no action when they're coming pool, then you can start altering how you're gonna roll out. If you roll out bats, if you roll out runes, and then you quickly jump across to like mid bridge or something. There's lots of different things that you can do. But that's kind of it for rollout. When your team has the point, you can kind of play around obelisk and look to cut off this angle. And obviously you can use it, like, you can peek up your head, so then you're, like, covered by a lot of, using, like, all the sheet metal and things to cover your angles. So, like, if I wanted to peek, like, lower or whatever, I'm gonna peek it, like, right here, as opposed to peeking right here, right? I don't really want to be this far over, because now I can get shot in the side. So I'm gonna be peeking it a little bit more passive, and then if I think that, oh, I can see them through the grate, then I might shift over a little bit after clearing this or something. So, if you want to play point, the only issue with playing point and why this map, in my opinion, is pretty flank heavy, is because you could just be getting shit on by demo. Like if you're here like scoped up waiting for somebody, like demo men could be like super passive all the way at the bottom of the obelisk and just spamming you for free. You might just kind of eat sticks. So this map is really big about like rotating to your medic, getting a buff, and then like you can also start rotating off. If you think that they're gonna be pushing across like right side of point, you can come here and you can scope up waiting for people to walk. Generally, I tend to play super heavy in pool if my team has this. So, at least in invite, kind of the meta is like you walk around a lot with your engineer. So, if your engineer is like in pool, generally I'll like walk into pool and have him watch me. Whether I'm like sitting, behind here holding the entrance, or I'm gonna play more towards like the doorway so then I can like look down on them. Or I take like SVS onto their bats, whatever. You always have the big health pack, which is always nice. But really, it's a big map about like coordinating, in my opinion, with your flank. That's just personally how I play it. This is by far my weakest map. Just because Help was never a super strong cost team, and I personally am not a super strong cost sniper. But that's just kind of generally like what's worked for me is just calling out my damage and then letting other people follow up, right? So if I'm here and I see that there's like a soldier in the corner and I bop him for like 150, then it allows my soldier, like my NG, just to kind of like rush that guy down. The other big play that a lot of people don't make, so this is like when you have point. So I'll talk about this a lot, is like you can bait the point on Koth a lot as sniper, right? So like on product, for example, if they start getting on point, you can rotate to like Cliff or China. You don't have to be sitting pocket, right? We rotate away from the point, give ourselves distance, so then we're not going to be getting spammed and pressured. Or on like Astral, for example, you can bait point by, you know, if like they're swarming you on like ramp, you can go shutter, you can go bats, right? And you can bait the point, wait for them to get on it, and then shoot them in the side of the head. So this is kind of the same thing, but the way that I'm talking about it in this case is, if you think that they're going to get ready to push, or like your team's going to push, you guys can do like a big flank push, come through here, and then you can honestly, a sniper, as long as this is clear, right? Like, don't just like run into a heavy and a soldier, but you can honestly shoot these guys all on the side of the head if you clear out their ruins. And it's a really strong play that I don't think a lot of people recognize or think about doing. I think people often, when they play sniper, they draw like a line straight through the map and they say, okay, I have to play on that side of the map. But if you think that, you know, hey, we're gonna take an ad Uber, right? Your team's gonna ad Uber into them or something. You can come out here as opposed to coming here. This is just, you're a little bit closer here and your angles aren't as nice, right? It's a little bit more like up and down vertical. Whereas the further away you are, the less vertical that you have to go up and down to hit all these head angles. And it's more side to side, which is just easier, in my opinion, for most people to aim. So that's kind of like if you have the point. But that's just assuming though that your combo's kind of playing like the standard like behind default, behind obelisk hold, right? So you can play around obelisk, rotate for buffs, rotate into pool, do kind of whatever. If your team is playing inside of bathhouse, I don't really recommend taking this SVS. I think that taking this SVS is kind of troll, just because I think that there's a lot of different angles that they can shoot you from. So what I would recommend is that you either play here, and you hold towards their main, and then you call out basically like what you see, right? If you don't see anyone main, then this is like I'm saying I don't see anyone main at all, and then it knows to your team and to your demo man that like, hey, they don't have to go here. I don't have to spam this anymore. Now I'm starting to expect people to come here, or maybe they're gonna do like a big like tunnel push, right? So those are the kind of the two angles that I mostly deal with. You can get up on top of here too, and if you want like a little elevation difference, stand up on top of the little light. In here though, you have to kind of make sure that your team is watching your back. Most teams will generally default to putting most of their people over here, which is fine. But if you're playing on top of the lamppost, it means that like you're kind of isolated a little bit, so somebody just kind of has to be watching your back. Not the end of the world, but something to kind of bring up to your team if you're finding that you're getting stabbed a lot. But even like, let's say you don't see anything here, you can, let me go on D&D real quick. Like let's say you don't see anything main, you can even peek out here and shoot them as they're trying to like walk out, right? You can basically see like the medic beam, you can bait with like a 150 waiting for them to walk into it. You can kill demo. There's like a ton of plays that you can make. This is why pool is so important on this map. So that's kind of like the pool hold. You can even come here and you can hold here. This is fine too. Just don't really want to expose yourself to like anything to do with like from this like little cinder block over to the right. You kind of just want to angle it off and just hold kind of like right here. He might far swing out onto here and then you have to take it. The headshot's like right around here somewhere. But this is what I would do. Just kind of angle it off. Just let your team know like you're not, as the defensive sniper, you're not really looking for like the SVS. You don't want to just like 100% tank it all the time. The last hold, and I don't know if you guys will do this, but I'm going to go over it just for the sake. So it started to happen more and more in Invite, at least when I played, is this super forward hold. Where like, people are playing like super, like, they basically just control this whole ruins area. When that happens, you can kind of do like one of a few things. You can play back here, and like look at main while your demo man or like soldier maybe are covering off like the left, whatever. The other play that you can make is you kind of have to kind of be a little bit cognizant of this angle here, because if your demo man is playing like around here, he doesn't want to just get shot from this angle. So just kind of keep that in mind. If your team does do this super forward hold, I don't really anticipate you guys doing it. But if they do, this is kind of like where you kind of gotta be looking. Same thing at gun though, right? You already pushed under their runes. After you clear this angle, maybe you win the SVS, you know, whatever, maybe you're prepared for it. Now you can just wait for people to come out. And you can also always just hide right here. And now as they're running out lower right, you can just blast them in the side of the head. So, just kind of angles. This map is kind of a total feel map. I kind of make this map to seem more like, kind of like Vigil in a way, to where it's a lot more like intuition, rather than just like, you go here and then you kill everything, or like you go here. It's not as flowcharty. So, just kind of keep that in mind, right? If something's not working that I'm telling you, you might have to mix things up and kind of learn the map a little bit on the fly. But these are kind of like the basic holds and stuff to kind of get you going. The biggest thing here is you have to be extremely spy aware. What I mean by that is you don't always have to be like, you know, taking a shot then flipping around and then like tweaking out, right? But you kind of have to like be aware. Okay, spy is dead. Spy is respawning. Like, how much time do I have? How much save time do I have before spy is up? Kind of things like that, right? You just don't want to be like turreting, right? If they're on point, you don't want to be rattling shot after shot after shot here, you know, because then you might get stabbed, right? Or hopefully your engineer is like working with you, or your soldier, right? Kind of always rotate to somebody. Don't just rotate to a spot. Rotate to a teammate is much better. So let's kind of the low on if your team has the point. Now retaking it's kind of gonna be a little bit, I mean, just kind of the total opposite of what I just said. So let's kind of think about like retaking. So there's a couple angles that I think that people have to be kind of cautious of. I think snipers possibly might get aggro and do like silly stuff on like your bats occasionally. It all just kind of depends on how your team is gonna retake. I think most teams are gonna retake out this way, rather than coming through main. I think if your team does want to go main, you have to watch this. Like, this doorway has to be kind of like what you watch. You grab a buff, maybe you jiggle it, maybe you try and like throw him off or something, but this becomes your angle like as your team starts pushing. It's really just gonna be big for you to figure out and listen to your spy where sniper is and how you can kind of counter, right? If sniper gets called, he's on the right side of the point, and I'm like right here. I have two choices I can make. I can come here, look at right side of point, or I can go a little bit of the slower route and come here, and now maybe I can shoot through like all these like little gaps in the wood, slowly start peeking up, etc. Right? But I mean, the biggest thing that I'd say when you're retaking or when you have to shoot at stuff on point is just take the easy frags. This isn't really a map where I feel like you can prioritize like killing the demo man or killing like the medic, right? It's kind of hard, especially with all the different elevation changes. You know, if they're like messing around here, okay, Obelisk has an elevation change if they're going back and forth, up and down. Like, this is a fairly hard shot, right? Like, when people are going up at a elevation change and they're going side to side, it's at a diagonal now. So this is kind of a difficult shot for you to hit. So, you know, take your free engineer, take your free 150 body shot on the scout, and just kind of take what's given to you. Don't try and like overly force, you know, tunneling on one class, right? If there's a class that's way easier to kill than the other, just take the one kill, right? Give your team the advantage and see what you can work off of that. One thing is, and they've actually fixed this a little bit, but this has a deceptive hitbox, as you can kind of see my reticle kind of going in and out, right? I should be able to shoot this guy, but I can't, but now I can, right? So some of these objects in like around ruins, they have kind of a funky hitbox, so just be like ready for it. Like this right here, like I should be able to shoot someone, but I can't, right? You can see how big my reticle is, and then it goes small. So just be super careful, especially working around this object. It's kind of a tricky one. One other spot I will say, if your team is playing point, and like you think that an Uber exchange is gonna happen, you're gonna get Ubered into. Kind of one spot that's kind of really nice that a lot of people I don't think utilize as much is like you can come here, and this is like super good if they start capturing point, because these angles are pretty friendly. You can see anything basically on point. You stay scoped in. You see all the bathhouse. You can see stuff that's on the right side of point. So I think, and obviously you're rotating to a health pack, right? So now you're gonna be a little bit safer. So if you find yourself needing to like rotate out, rotating here is definitely okay because it still gives you like chances, and you have the health pack to kind of help keep you alive a little bit while your team kind of equalizes. I can't stress it enough though, is that making sure that you're playing with somebody. So I don't think you guys will be, you guys aren't going to be getting the permanent NG guard. Your engineer's not going to permanently be following you around. But I definitely think that, like, if you guys are going to put, like, your heavy here outside a pool waiting for, like, a retake or something, or if your soldier's going to be playing over here, if you just tell your soldier to, like, hey, I want to, like, walk up and, like, scope here for a second, like, see what they give me, and have him just watch you, it's still going to be good. The biggest thing with that is, with any kind of communication, is that if your teammate leaves you and he's the one that's kind of watching your back, he should be coming to you like, hey, I'm leaving you, you're on your own, or whatever. So then it basically means that, like, you should not be surprised if you get a spy on you or if you get backstabbed. It's up to you at that point. There's not a lot of crazy angles that I recommend. There used to be like this super common one that everyone would do. You kind of like come here and like you work up like, it's as high as it goes. I forget how to exactly do this one. You can, yeah, I think this is it. You come here, and like you can kind of like walk into this ledge or whatever. I don't know. I don't think this is ever worth doing. It's too slow. I'd rather like have you rotate to a better spot rather than trying to play like a cheeky angle. Do you guys have any questions? It's kind of all I can think about right now. It's been so long since I played this map though.
No, I don't have any.
I mean, I think like as you guys play tonight, because tonight will be like your guys' first round of scrims. It's probably gonna feel a little bit weird because you are so isolated, right? Especially if you're playing heavy runes or like playing pool, you're kind of far away from your combo. So definitely like getting into the habit of like rotating back to the combo for like a quick buff. Maybe you come up here, make a quick peek, and then like rotating off is gonna be important. But if you guys have questions post, like after you guys' scrims, let me know. You can play some tricky angles where you're playing like I would say too. This is kind of a good thing, right? So if you're playing point and you kind of just assume that they're like, let's say they're gonna flood ruins with like their whole combo and everybody, because sometimes they might do that. It's totally fine for you guys to get super aggro and deep like this and just shoot them. Because if like let's say your team's in pool and like it's kind of become the shit show, right? If it's like a 9v9 for example, and they're like in ruins and like you guys are in pool, and like you don't really want to deal with this SVS, it's totally okay for you just to kind of like walk off, maybe swing a little bit wide on point. It's kind of all by yourself. This map is kind of small in the way that like the areas that you're going to be taking a lot of your fights, especially if your team does the pool hold or if you guys do the ruins hold, there's a lot of small chokes that people have to get through. But other than that, just communicate, work with your teammates, especially your flank. Your flank is your best friend on this map. But that's all I can think of. Nothing, so nothing from Kerr, anything from you? I forget your name. I think it's like Sunbather normally, right?
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
If like someone should be playing around me.
Hmm.
If like someone should be playing around me, like my Angie or something like that, like more often.
So, I mean, I guess in like an ideal world, right? Like, as the higher you go, the more protection that snipers tend to get, right? The class is just too valuable, but I don't think enough people understand that, especially in like lower divs, like amateur, IM main, even like low advanced. But
I'm saying this because I have a good communication with my NG, and I don't know if like my NG can play with me on this map, or it's better that he's doing other stuff.
So
You know.
yeah, so I think like your engineer's his main job is gonna be putting a dispenser here, and then he can kind of float, right? So he can kind of help like fight in pool, and he can kind of just float around and kind of just do, I don't want to say whatever he wants, but if you think that you're having like a good beat on the map, like you're expecting them to push, you can call for him to play around you, right? You'd say like, hey, stay with me, as opposed to him like going off and randomly pushing, right? NG's kind of just like a space denier as like a class. He puts down a mini and then it deters them from ever pushing into it. So I wouldn't say just like, and maybe I'll get shit about this, but I don't personally like telling my NG like, hey, you should be playing the game this way. I think it's a little bit like, I don't want to say selfish, but even if it's like the most optimal play, right? I still want people to have fun. I don't want someone just to sit AFK watching my back the whole time. But I do think that there's situations to where like the NG's impact on the game is very, very low compared to, right? Like for example, if they're 9-man pushing point or 8-man pushing point and like Spy is still around, I would rather feel completely safe here as a sniper than having like my little NG chipping at them with like 40 damage shotgun bullets, right? So it's kind of it's kind of a give and take. Like for example, if you're playing pool and you're kind of posted up on like this angle where you play up on top of the cinder blocks, you know, like maybe he watches your back, but maybe you missed the shot, right? Somebody walks in, now he also has to kind of deal with it. I would say it's not so much an NG job on this map, but it's more of like you just communicate with like your flankers general, right? There's been people in invite, and I forget who's the quote for it, but they say that soldier is the best spy checking class in the game, which in theory it technically is, right? Like everyone kind of puts spy on the pyro, but really like the soldier being able to shoot rockets in like whatever corner and basically does the pyro's job, especially with how prevalent spicicle is right now, is like super super good, right? So there's sometimes where I even feel more comfortable standing next to my soldier than I do next to, you know, my NG. So kind of to not, you know, get back to what you asked, having your NG being on you 24/7 I don't think is the best play, but I think that like 9 times out of 10 it's not necessarily a bad play, especially if you're being the more aggro, right? If you're playing more aggressively, then I think it's gonna be better than if you're just kind of like AFK on like your bats, waiting for people to like peek you, right? If you're the aggressor, it also allows your engineer to also have more impact on the game. He's also gonna be closer to combo, right? If he's here, like helping you in pool, he's also gonna be quicker in case dispenser goes down, as opposed to if you're all the way back on ruins, right? So I think it's gonna be kind of a middle ground for you guys to work out between you two of, yes, he should be on me, or, you know, like, no, I don't need him here right now. Especially when Spy dies. Once Spy dies, you can kind of just go do whatever he wants, right? That's the big thing, right? This whole game is based off of timings. You know, like, what class is dead allows you to do whatever you want in the game, right? If Spy dies, you have the freedom of not having to look behind you as much. If Sniper dies, you know, you have the ultimate freedom of, okay, the only class that can kill me is Spy. As long as I'm away from the Spy, I can kill anything, right? If Medic is dead, then all you're trying to do is just dish out damage because they don't have a class that can heal. So this whole game is kind of just based off of like what classes they have down and how you react to it. Hope that answers the question.
Yeah, that seems to be really clever.
A lot of it is just personal preference and like working on like your guys' synergy together, right? Like my dynamic with the couple of different engineers across help that I've had is going to be different than the dynamic that you've had, right? And I've had different dynamics within my team, you know, based off of the engineer. So it's just kind of up to you to kind of figure that out and like that sweet spot.
Is that I was kind of asking this because like I have a really good communication with my NG, and when she usually plays with me a lot, and I was asking this. So basically, if like it's better to like not have my NG 24/7 on me. It's like so I can tell her and maybe call a clever moment to say, hey, can you play with me right now? I'm
Yep.
doing this.
Yeah,
Alright.
I mean, cause like you also don't want to gimp your team, right? Like Lakeside's such a big map that, and there's so much spam that's going on that your demo man's gonna be running like low on ammo, right? But maybe your NG has to rotate here and be like, no, I can't be on you. I have to put a dispenser down. You know, maybe they have to walk up here, grab the big pack, upgrade the dispenser, right? They still have their engineering, like their engineered duties, I'll say. So it's just kind of a communication between you two of what you can do, what you want to do, and like what your NG can help you do. Is really it. Any more questions?
I think that's it for me.
Yeah, I think it's all.
Okay. Cool. Then we are just gonna end this. This is a little bit quicker than I thought it was gonna be, which is kind of nice. But there, like I said, this is kind of one of my weaker maps. It's not a map I've also played in a long time. It's like I don't even remember. It's like season 12. I forget when we played this something in grand finals, but kind
I
of
mean,
keep that
it
in
just came
mind.
back, so
Yeah, I mean it just came back. And like I said, just I'm not a great cost sniper. I'm not built for cost. I'm built more for payload. It's just my preference. But if you guys do have any questions, just shoot me a message and we can talk about it.
Alrighty.
alright. If I get like a good demo, should you be able to like demo review maybe tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll have time. If you guys need a demo review, we can go over stuff. It's not a
Alright.
problem.
Sweet.
So, all right, cool, gents. You guys get
Alright.
out of here, and
Thank you.
I'll talk to you guys later.